What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the season finale of Power Book 4 Force. This is season 1, episode number 10, and the episode was titled Family Business, you guys. Now, before we go ahead and jump into this review, if you guys are watching this video or any other on my channel and are not subscribed to my channel, I'm going to need you guys to do me that solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, sharing the video, and with that out of the way, you guys, without further ado, let's discuss Forced, shall we? All right, you guys, so let's start the episode up with the Flynns. So we see, as you know, the Irishmen, they are out celebrating, right? So while they're out celebrating, Vic is talking to one of the guys. Now I didn't get any of the guys' names right. And the guy's talking about, well, this Tommy Egan, he must be like one formidable foe, right? And Vic is talking shit about Tommy, talking about nah, Tommy is like an ant. Actually, he's like a bump on an ant's balls or some shit like that, right? So the guy says, well, are he's starting to wonder, like, okay, is your daddy even up for this job? And Vic says, nah, he's good. Da got this, right? And he says once Tommy is gone, things will be stable, right? So then we see, while that's going on, we see one of the other guys. He's talking to this blonde girl, right? They go outside, and she was about to give him a blowjob, right? But Tommy came up behind him and clotheslined his ass, right? Then after he did that, Tommy hung him upside down like a pig, just draining his blood. Baby, when Walter saw that, Walter was pissed the hell off, right? So Claudia's with him at this point, right? So Claudia got a text message from Tommy saying, hey, we need to re-up on Dahlia. You in? And she says, yes, I'll meet you at the lab, right? So then Claudia she says, Da, I may have a way to get to Tommy, right? He tells her, you hush. I was like, she just sat here and told you she may have a way to help you get Tommy, and you gonna shush her? Baby, Claudia and Victor are stupid, and I just don't understand Claudia and Victor. I don't understand them, right? So we see them, they're trying to figure out, the best way to get to Tommy, right? So Claudia says, well, he's making Dahlia, and she's saying that one of her club contacts, is going to be meeting up with Tommy at his lab, and she has the address. And Walter's like, see, that's what I'm talking about. I'm like, Walter, my dude, she already tried to give you the intel earlier, and you told her to hush. Claudia, I'm literally playing this in my brain, right? He told you to hush earlier, and now you're gonna give him the intel. Baby, I would have left Walter in the dark. I'm like, oh, so you don't respect me enough. You tell me to hush, but now when I say, oh, I know where he's gonna be hiding, I know where his hideout is, and right now you want to listen to me. I tell Da to go to hell, right? So we see Vic, and he's telling Walter, like, Tommy is mine because of what Tommy did to Gloria. I'm like, Victor, you literally haven't put two and two together, huh? Why would Tommy sit here and tell you get out of town with Gloria, right? And then put a hit on first of all, who is Tommy working with to put a hit on? I know it was the Serbs, right? How in the hell could Tommy work with the Serbs when you guys hit the Serbs and took the pipeline from them? I see why Rox was frustrated in last week's episode. I was frustrated too with last week's episode, but spelling it out in this week's episode, I'm like, because I even said it in last week's review, like, how did y'all think it was Tommy? Nothing adds up to say it was Tommy, but hey, I'm going to keep going, right? Walter, at one point, he did not want Victor involved in this. I'm like, Victor, first of all, my dude, you still got your arm is still kind of in a bad place, right? But eventually, Walter says, okay, he's yours. But he tells the guy, you better make sure when you come back, he's with you, right? So then we see we see Victor and the guy, right? Now, I'm going to talk about what happened when they went after Tommy in just a little bit, right? Because that scene was kind of confusing as well, too. But hey, we're going to discuss it, right? So they went back to Walter, right? And, Vic is saying that, Tommy was waiting on them, basically. And Claudia and Vic got a text message from Tommy, right? And it said 3-0, right? So Victor's telling Claudia, like, whoever you dealing with, you got played. I don't know if she got played because she wasn't really working with anybody. She set herself up for failure. So then the guy that's been working with Victor, right? He asked Claudia, he's like, it's something you ain't, you're not telling everything. Like, you keeping some shit to yourself, right? There's something that you ain't saying, right? So then she gives him a hit of Dahlia, and she wants to make a deal with him, right? So she wants him to go to bat for her when it comes to, the people in Dublin, right? And if he does that for her, then she'll give him the exclusive pipeline, right? He wants that, but he also wants to sleep with her. And she's like, you're not my type. So then she says, she knows someone that can lead her to Tommy. And that person that's going to lead her to Tommy is going to be the doc. So we'll talk about the doc in just a little bit, you guys. So what I'm going to do right here is we're going to pause right here and we're going to move forward. All right, you guys. So next up, we're going to move over and we're going to talk about Diamond and Jannard, right? So we see, where do we want to start up with Diamond and Jannard? Actually, with Diamond, so the episode when we first seen Diamond and Adrian, right? They're at the barbershop, right? So Adrian is talking to Diamond, right? And Diamond isn't really paying Adrian much attention. It's kind of like he's very distracted, right? And he tells her that he's been struggling with something, and he's telling her he's struggling with something, and it's also very hard for him to change, right? So then his phone rings, and it's just Jannard saying, "Hey, bro, where you at?" Right? So Diamond's like, I'm at the shop. He's like, "Okay, bro, what I'm gonna do is I'm about to pull up because I need to, we need to parlay." And Diamond was like, "Parlay." And then I think Diamond was thinking to himself, like, "Okay, I literally just overheard Jannard and the old boy from The Shy, whose name I don't know what that nigga's name is. Well, actually, at this point, his name is dead because he ain't coming back. Damn, you died on The Shy and you died in this show. Spoiler alert, I already told you guys. So, where we at? So once he hangs up the phone with Jannard, he's telling Adrian she needs to leave. And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "Girl, get your ass out of that barbershop," right? So Diamond grabs a gun. They go outside, get in the car, right? When they get in the car, old boy from The Shy and some of his people pull up to the shop. They ready to light that bad boy up, right? And she's like, "So what were you gonna do if?" She said she asked him something. I'm like, "Girl, he would have got you out of there one way or another, right?" And I'm thinking to myself this whole time, because Diamond is sitting in his car. I'm like, "So y'all didn't see Diamond's car there?" Oh, okay. I mean, I guess, right? So then old boy from The Shy, he called Jannard. Well, Jannard called old boy from The Shy. He didn't answer the phone, right? So now Jannard is in his, he in his feelings. He pissed off, right? So then we see as Diamond is beating the fuck out of old boy from The Shy. I don't know what his name is, right? So his name until, well, we ain't got to worry about him no more. God, Reggie, nigga, you died in The Shy and you died here. Diamond was beating the fuck out of Reggie. Diamond asks Reggie, like, who the fuck sent you after me? Reg tells him, "Nigga, I ain't telling you shit who sent you after you. Like, since you got out of jail, like, you talking about the game changed. Nah, the game ain't changed. You just got soft." So then he hit him and his lungs were collapsing, right? He's like, "That sound that you hear? That's your lungs collapsing." So then eventually he says, "Your brother sent me after you, nigga." I was like, "Ooh. Diamond, that gun you got," because he said, "You ain't trying to catch no more bodies." He says, "You right." And he said, "Pop." I was like, "Oh, okay." Right there. I was like, "Diamond, let's cock that gun and let's go give it to a baby brother Jannard. I know it might be hard for you to take your little brother out, but this reckless ass dude, he asking for it. So at this point, the gloves are coming off, baby brother. You might be my little brother, and I love you to death, but you ain't finna come after me. Like you finna send your boys to take me down? Nah, we ain't playing them games, my nigga. So nah, run up on that ass. Run up on that ass, right? So then we see Jannard. So he pulls up at his crib, right? He go inside. He finds Reg dead. I was like, see? Now Jannard is about to piss on himself, right? I'm like, ooh. For somebody to have out his mouth, man, fuck my brother. You've been saying fuck your brother for a minute now, and now that it's really time to say fuck your brother, you pussy. So we see Jannard, right? We see Jannard. He went to go talk to Merkovich, right? He's trying to make a deal with Merkovich, right? So he's telling Merkovich that if he can get Flynn to end this shit, right, he needs protection from Diamond and from Tommy. Merkovich is like, what I'll do is, if you can get him to drop the war, I'll stop my support of Tommy. But your brother, I ain't got nothing to do with that, right? So Jannard went to go see Walter, right? And he's talking to Walter, and Vic was like, wait a minute, so you really about to hear him out, right? So Jannard tells him, like, if they leave the Serbs alone, right, the Serbs will no longer support Tommy, and they can go after Tommy, right? But then he says, I also need protection from my brother. And once again, everybody's saying the same thing. Tommy is fine. Your brother, that's your issue, man. So they asked him about, they asked him about Diamond, and then they put two and two together. They were like, wait a minute. You must have done went behind your brother's back and done some sneaky shit. But Walter says, you know what? You got a deal, right? So then we see Tommy. So Tommy pulled up on Diamond, right? So Tommy was telling Diamond about the hit earlier. You remember in last week's episode when it ended, remember him and D-Mac were out and they got shot at, right? And I'm thinking to myself, about even with Tommy, like I had an issue with this with Tommy. Like, you didn't think to yourself that it might have been CBI, not even CBI, but because you said to Liliana in one point in this episode that it's not the Irishman because they're militia style. These people were street style. I'm like, you didn't think that may have been CBI, Jannard? But while he's talking, he says, and I thought about it, he's like, Diamond says, I ain't got no beef with you, Tommy. And Diamond tells Tommy that, he'll need help with Walter. He's just not sure what to do about Jannard because Tommy knows that it's Jannard. And at this point, he knows that Jannard is in charge of CBI, right? So what I'm going to do is we're going to pause here, you guys, and we're going to go ahead and just wrap up the episode. All right, you guys. So the episode, now, damn, I didn't realize this was a lot with Tommy. So we see Tommy earlier in the episode. He was rolling through the streets, right? He calls Victor, and he says that, he tells Vic that he wanted things to be peaceful. That was until his nephew got here, right? So he's thinking that Victor did this. Victor's like, I don't know nothing about that. Then Victor still thinks that Tommy is the reason that Gloria is dead. And I'm like, Tommy is not the reason Gloria is dead. How dumb and dense do you have to be to not know that, right? But Tommy told him it wasn't him, right? So then we see Tommy, he pulled up on Merkovich, right? He asked Merkovich to find out who put out the hit on him, and his nephew put out the hit on him, right? And then he also was asking Merkovich for two people, right? So Merkovich gives him two people, right? He tells them stick with him if he messes up in any kind of way, take his ass out, right? So then we see JP and Tommy. So they're in D-Mac's room, right? Now JP is pissed off, asking Tommy like, "Why are you here?" Tommy came to bring some stuff, since he's spending the night there, right? So JP was like, I came for you and D-Mac. He says his name is Darnell. Darnell, D-Mac, who the fuck gives a damn, right? Same difference, tomato. That's what that boy want to go about, right? So Tommy tells, JP, like, he's very smart, and I'm just trying to not have him in this life, right? So then, JP has been there, right? So he needs some of his medical records. So the medical records are at Miriam's place, right? So Tommy's going to go to Miriam's, right? So when Tommy got to Miriam's, and you could hear them floorboards creaking, I'm like, wait a minute. Who knew about Miriam? Nobody. Then we see a blast from the past. I was like, oh my God, it is Kate. So Kate is, and I saw that big ass hole in the wall. I'm like, damn, who put a big hole in the wall? So Tommy's like, you looking for copper, ma? She's like, no, that cunt Miriam had money hidden in the walls. I was like, did you just call your mama a cunt? She called her mama a cunt. I was like, damn, Kate, you just ain't shit. So she says that she's there to see her son, right? He says he's at the hospital with his son. She's like, I got a grandson? Yeah, Kate, you got a grandson. She's like, well, you never gave me any. I was like, I'm kind of happy Tommy never gave you any grandkids, because Kate, y'all know Kate is my girl, right? But Kate ain't shit. And then Tommy says, he don't need none of your bullshit, ma. You damn right about that. Don't nobody need none of Kate's bullshit, right? So then we see Tommy at the lab, right? So at one point he told Liliana and the chemist to go. He's asking the chemist, like, when can they get business up and running, right? Because he's moved them to a different location, right? So Liliana told the chemist she needs to get the fuck out of Dodge, right? She gave him some money, so the chemist left. So then we see him. So this is the scene I was talking about earlier. After, remember, Claudia set it up for them to go to the lab, right? Here's the thing that threw me for a loop with this whole lab situation, right? So the thing for me that kind of confused me is they have more men. Now, granted, Tommy might know he's been at the lab, so he knows the layout, right? But it was Tommy and them two Serbs against Vic and that army. And Tommy managed to take them all out. And I was just like, how did that happen? How did that happen? So then we see Tommy. So he's talking to Liliana, right? So he's telling Liliana at this point, like, we getting hit from all sides. We got Vic, we got the Flynn's coming after us. And then this is what he was telling her about, how they're militia style, right? But the people that shot at him and D-Mac, this was some street shit, right? And I'm like, so you ain't putting two and together that if you were working with the Serbs, because you and the Serbs are enemies, it ain't the Irishman. By process of elimination, you should know who this is, right? But hey, it is what it is, right? But he told her he had a hunch and he'll check into it. That's when he went and talked to Diamond. So then we see Kate and Tommy. So they went to the hospital, right? Well, JP, you finally met your mama. And she's exactly what Tommy told you she is, huh? Nothing. So not D-Mac, but JP embraced her. She was like, oh, okay, this is what we doing? When she said, oh, okay, I died laughing. But that wasn't even the funniest part of the scene, right? So then she's like, I want to see my grandson. And Tommy's like, no, ma. But then she went and saw D-Mac. She's like, oh, he don't look shit like me. Well, maybe a little bit. Again, you guys know I fucks with Kate, but that bitch ain't shit. So Tommy, D-Mac was in and out, right? So Tommy went to ask D-Mac, like, who do you know anybody who could have followed us around, right? And D-Mac was like, Marshall? And Tommy was like, nah, it couldn't be Marshall, right? But then that's when D-Mac went on and told him, like, well, that nigga Jannard, he paid me to follow you, right? And that nigga wants you dead. So then he says, Tommy, come here. I got a question for you. He's like, what's up? He said, who the fuck is that old white bitch? He said, that's your grandmother. He says, my grandmother's an old white bitch? He says, yeah, she likes being called an old white bitch. So keep it up. That's when I died laughing. That isn't when I cracked the fuck up. When D-Mac he just flat out said, who the fuck is that old white bitch? My grandmother's an old white bitch? Oh shit, I don't know why that was funny to me, but it was funny. Who the fuck is that old white bitch? Wait, my grandma's an old white bitch? Well, when he said that's your grandma, yeah. So JP, I knew something bad was going to happen in this scene. I knew something bad was going to happen with this scene, right? So remember, JP needed those documents, right, for the hospital. Tommy got distracted by Kate being there, so he never got them, right? So JP says, you know what? I'm gonna go back to Miriam's and get it. Can you stay here with him? I said, who? Kate? You want Kate, a woman that left you when you was 2 days old, to stay with your son? I was like, good knowing you, D-Mac, because I think you about to die. I'm like, it was nice knowing you, D-Mac, but I think you about to die because your grandmother, she ain't shit. The old white bitch that's your grandma, yeah, that old bitch ain't shit. That old white bitch ain't shit. So we see JP, and JP went back to the crib, right? Once again, these creaky ass floorboards, right? So you hear the floorboards. I was like, oh fuck. Now I could have swore I thought I heard a silencer go off, but I guess they just hit the nigga with the gun, right? So then we see Tommy. He asked Liliana about the doc, right? Liliana says, well, I just told the doc just to leave. He says, did you let her leave clean? She says, no. He says, Liliana, we need, like, Claudia, basically, you know, Claudia needs the doc, right? Like, so remember, I told you earlier, Claudia, she told her to leave, right? The doc's house is badass, right? So the doc was getting ready to leave. She went to her car service, right? The guy put her stuff in the trunk. She gets in the car, and who's in the back seat? That bitch Claudia. So she's asking the doc, you know, what is Tommy's weakness, right? So I guess she must have told him his weakness is his brother. But how do they know where to find JP? Is a good question. We'll get there. We'll talk about it. No, we ain't. So they have JP, right? They call Tommy up. Is Walter, is Vic, is Claudia, and is that bitch Jannard. So they call Tommy. They tell Tommy where they at, right? So then we see Tommy. He is with Diamond and Liliana, right? So Diamond knows this place where they're going because it's a place that him and Jannard played when they were kids, right? And it's a good place to go because no one, if you shoot a gun out there, no one's going to hear it, right? So they hung up the phone. So Claudia asked Jannard, you know, when he talked to, you know, Merkovich, did he say anything about Tommy, right? Because, you know, they think that he was behind Gloria's, you know, death. And Jannard's like, you know, I had my issues with Tommy, but Merkovich never mentioned Tommy, right? Only thing he said was that your dad took out some of his people and it was retaliation, right? So then we move over with Tommy, Diamond, and Liliana. So they're talking about this situation, right? So if they go and they see Tommy, they're going to shoot and kill him immediately, right? But if he doesn't show up, JP is as good as dead, right? So they have to come up with some kind of plan, right? And at this point, they're literally outnumbered. It's just Diamond, Tommy, and Liliana. The Serbs have ditched him at this point, right? And you got Walter, you got Victor, you got Polly, you got Claudia, Jannard, and the rest of the whole Irishman clan, right? So they know that they're outnumbered, so they got to come up with a plan. So we see them, they meet up, right? So Diamond comes out with Tommy. He has a gun to Tommy's head, right? So he's telling Walter, like, hey, this motherfucker right here was trying to run out of town, so I got him. He's yours if you want him, right? So they were like, oh, so you was just gonna say, forget your family. Tommy was like, y'all have done worse. So then Jannard, you know, Diamond talks about his brother, how his brother tried to take a hit on him, right? And, you know, they said, oh, so you trying to split CBI. So some of the CBI man was like, wait a minute, you took a hit out on your brother? He told him, shut the fuck up. I was like, oh, okay. So Diamond wants to make a deal, right? He'll give them Tommy in exchange for Jannard, right? So Jannard, he took a shot at Diamond, and Tommy and him, you know, dipped off, right? They took for cover, right? So Jannard took off running, Diamond following behind him. Victor went after Tommy, so they get into a back and forth fight with each other, right? Then we got Diamond and Jannard, they going back and forth. When that gun went off, I was like, oh yes, He took him out. Nope, Diamond didn't shoot Jannard. He shot at Jannard, right? So he missed Jannard, right? But he basically told Jannard, like, hey, so what we gonna do is we finna split C-Bell, right? The dudes that want to go with you, they go with you. The people that's gonna go with me, come with me. And they made a line that neither one of them will cross, right? So at this point, they that blood shit, it's a wrap. So then we see Liliana, right? So Liliana, she comes in and she's just like she's taking out Serb after, not Serb, Irishman after Irishman. But then she went to go take out Claudia, and Claudia shot her. And I saw it was in the chest. I was like, oh shit, Liliana, rest in peace, girl. Because I'm like, I know you good as dead. And Tommy came out there with Vic holding the gun to him. Tommy couldn't go to help her, right? Because he's talking to, Walter and Vic, right? And eventually Tommy told Walter, tell him the fucking truth. So Walter, as well as Claudia, tell him the truth. That Tommy ain't had nothing to do with Gloria's death. This was all on Die. Now see, when Victor went up to Die with that knife, he says, you don't have the balls to do it. He was like, you sure? I'm like, he sure don't have the balls to do it. But I would. So that's that, right? So Liliana, she eventually died. So rest in peace to my girl Liliana. I had real high hopes for Liliana, right? I really wanted Liliana to make it. And we can see that Tommy really actually cared for Liliana, right? So then we move over to the FBI agents, right? So they have a new ghost, right? They're talking about these dead bodies. They're talking about Tommy and all this kind of stuff, right? The plates on his car are fake. Which, remember, in Power Book 2, they faked Tommy's death, and I had forgot about that until I watched. Whose review did I watch where they were talking? I think it was either Keisha from Color Me Pink, or it was Sharonda from Pay or Wait. It was one of those two. I can't remember whose video I was watching. So we see Sullivan. Then we see that damn blonde going around the ring. I'm like, oh my God. Not again. I'm like, why do I have to keep seeing this woman? We saw her at the end of Book 2 Ghost. Now we seeing her in this one. I was like, if this woman don't catch a damn bullet. Jesus the Christ. Y'all know I hated Angela, but baby, this heifer tops the cake. I can't stand her raggedy ass. But that's the season finale of Power Book 4 Force. Overall, it was an okay season. It was a good season. It had its holes and plots, right, that did annoy me. But other than that, it was really good. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, share the video, you guys. And until the next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves. Remember to, guys, wash your hands, wear a mask, socially distance, be blessed, and I'll catch you guys later. And my lunch break has officially ended. So I'm going to go get me something to eat and head back to my office. Bye, guys.